Today we are going to see SOSL, that is a Salesforce Object Search Language. So previously what we have seen was Salesforce Object Query Language. So this was a different than Object Query Language. This is an Object Search Language. So how it is a different was, first of all, this will support it only on the objects where we enable the allow search feature. So that means like once we like while creating an object, we have a checkboxes to opt for additional features. So there you have option to allow a search on the object. So when we allow that search, then only the objects will be supported in the SOSL, that is a Salesforce Object Search Language. Okay, how it is different from a SOSL? So it will work only on a objects which are allowed to search. And so when we write a query, it's not necessary to be um, an object or a related objects. Even we can search on any objects which are related or not related. It doesn't matter. So once we write a SOSL, and we will mention what should be the return objects and return fields. That's what we'll mention. First of all, we'll be having a key. What is our search key? And we define in what fields it has to search, and then we'll mention what are all the objects that need to be written. It's not like object has to be related. It's not like that, but it has to be a list. We need to specify which object need to be written, and if you have specify about the fields, you can specify, otherwise you can ignore. Okay, we can search on specific fields like name fields or email fields, all fields. I think one more is phone fields, I guess. I don't remember exactly. Let me see. Yeah, we have a name fields, email fields, and then phone fields, and one more is a sidebar fields. Okay, now we'll mention in what are all the fields we need to perform the search, and then after performing the search, we can define the subjects need to be searched and return the search results. Okay, so we can search on a specific fields like name, email, phone, or sidebar are all fields. And when we saying all fields, it doesn't mean actually all fields, I guess. So we'll see that part. Either let's say if you look at SOQL, some fields are not supported on a where condition. So we cannot do a like operator on a specific some field types like a long text area, multiple list, and rich text fields. On these fields, we cannot perform a where condition. But we'll see some examples whether it will allow on all fields or not. And then um, the returning S objects no need to be related objects. We can have objects which are not related also. So it's not mandated to be a relate. It doesn't mean that we always should have a unrelated objects. We can have a related or unrelated objects also. We can do such, but it doesn't matter in SOSL. And return a type of the SOSL is list of list of S objects. That's what the return type of a SOSL. That means so we will be having multiple S object results, right? But we don't know what is the S object type you're going to define. So you write on two objects like account and contact, or somebody else will write a account and project and the people. So it's not like a guarantee. So the return type is always a S object data type, and it is of list of S objects. So when you do a search in single object, you may have a one or more records. So if you mention like a two or three objects, so if each object can have a multiple records or multiple results, so each object will have a list. And so let's say if you're returning on account, contact, and lead, so three objects, and three objects has to be listed. So first one in this list is a account, then contact, and lead. So in whatever the order that you mention in your return type, returning field specific, so in the same order, the objects also stay in this list of S objects. Now, let's look into a syntax. The syntax would be, it will start with the find. SOQL start with the select, and SOSL start with the find. And then we'll mention the whatever the keyword that you want to search. Let's say I have one name, search query name, and then I want to search this in a only name fields. I want to search in a not names. I want to search in a name fields, and I would like to mention returning I would like to returning account, comma, contact. So that's all. So if I want to put any limit, I can put, or if I don't want, I can ignore. That's all a high level SOSL will be. So it will be starting with the find clause, and you have to mention in what um, in what fields you want to search. So what all options we have was name, email, phone, all, and sidebar fields. and then you have to mention what are all the objects you would like to return, account and contact, like that. And if you want to limit the number of rows, that's limit rows, and the maximum um, number of um, rows that can be returned is 2000 records. 2000 records per transaction, not for single one. The max also for single one. And then mm, you are allowed to perform 20 search queries. That is per transaction. So per transaction, you can perform a 20 queries that you can perform. Whereas if you compare with the SOQL, you can query 100 times per transaction, and you can query rows of 50,000 rows, whereas SOSL you have a lesser limits. Okay, let's write some queries and see how it will be. I'd like to use a workbench. Yeah. Now I would like to write a query on a SOSL. So I have one query over here, right? Yeah, it may be right, wrong, or we might be missing something. Let's check. Okay, so it returned two records. I not mentioned any fields, so it returned only the record IDs. So I would like to add name, comma, industry from account. Then it will return me a name, comma, industry. So no such column code. Okay. Industry typo industry. So it returned me a name and an industry. Okay, on contact also I would like to return first name, comma, last name, comma, email. I would like to return. Okay, so now you see first name, last name, and a email. So we will write a SOSLs. Because it is some workbench, so we are giving this curly braces, but while we're writing the actual code in a Apex, we'll use a single quotes only. Okay, let's write some code in the Apex class and have some examples. So before we get and continue, do you have any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, so when you say which are allowed, it's objects which are allowed to search. So do we need to specifically enable anything for search
Yeah.
for SOSL?
Yeah, let's say if you're having a subject, so I said like we have to add that setting, right? If you are allowed, then only it will do a search. Now I have a project object. Okay, so in the project object, when you edit, you will be having that flag called a allow search. Let's look at that. So you see, right, the search status. When the setting is enabled, you use find records in this object when they search. So only if this checkbox is enabled, then only you can write a SOSL with a returning as this object. Then only it's supported.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the same setting for do a global search. Global search also you need to check this box. Then only when you do search, it will return the results. Otherwise, it will not. It will.
And like in the SOQL queries, like we have a limit of 150 DML operations, right?
Mm,
So there is nothing mentioned here in the SOSL, right, regarding DML. So
no. Okay. Here it is not supported for DMLs. It is not
okay,
supported for DMLs. DMLs again, it's separate concept. So you cannot perform the DML operations on a direct results. It is not supported for how I can say um, the results of the SOSLs are not supported for DMLs. So the direct results obviously it's not supported. So whatever DML you're trying to perform, obviously you can perform a DML transaction, DML, and the DML is again a separate entity. So if you perform any DMLs because it's a single transaction, you can perform 150 and you can perform on 10,000 rows. So DML is it's a different topic. Whereas SOQL and SOSLs are different. SOQL is a query language and SOSL is a search language. On direct SOQL results, it's from a single object, so you can directly perform a DMLs on it. But whereas SOSL, it is a results from a multiple S object. So again, that results are not supported for a DMLs, like any update or changes, it's not supported. So again, the results you need to split into a different objects, then only you can perform any action, like whether deletion or updation or any action that will be supported only after splitting that consolidated results into a individual results. Okay.
okay. And one last thing, like it is having a sidebar fields, right? So what is meant by a sidebar field?
So the sidebar fields will set in a classic view. So when we have a classic view, let me switch to classic. The sidebar concept is completely in the Visual Force page only. So let's say now you're seeing I think here, right? So you can have some sidebar items here, and when you hover over there, you can have some fields to you can also displayed over there along with the record. So what are the fields that you mention in those fields which can be displayed in a sidebar? Like we have some layouts like when we do a search, what the fields needs to be displayed. If it's a compact layout, what the field need to be displayed. Like that, we will set up some fields, right? Like that, we have an option to set the some sidebar fields also in a classic view. But in Lightning, we don't have a concept of a sidebar. But here where we um, not we can have the sidebar. Let's say if I want to account, so it's a create new options, and uh, I will go to a setup. So we can configure the sidebar also. Homepage components, standard components. Create new recent items, alerts, calendars and tasks, links, message lowest, human visual force area. So you can have images or links or HTML area or visual force area, not here. You can have any of these components on the left side. Mm, the recent records also we can see there. Let me say. Okay. Now I open the project. So I have a number of employees, project, email, city, and office. So I have this 6 fields over there. With these 6 fields are called, I think it's called a mini layout. Maybe a same, it was mentioned. We'll write some example and see. I guess so. Those are the sidebar fields, what I'm referring to. But let's see, or click check. What are sidebar fields as well as sidebar fields. Oh, sidebar fields nothing but a index fields. So if you want to make any field searchable through sidebar fields, it's faster. Just make it external ID in the definition. Okay, having a new definition or a different definition. What our understanding was. hmm Okay, so it's saying that. So what are all the indexed fields? So what are all the index fields? Name fields are index fields, and email is. So you can see here what are all the index field was in the object manager. You will be having called whether the field is indexed or not. So when you go to fields and relationships, we have a column called the index. So here, what are all the fields that are checked? Those are indexed fields. So email, and I enabled as external ID there. And then any of the lookup fields or index fields, lookup or any relation fields, and name field also by default a index field. And if you have any other external ID also enabled over here, those are also supported in a index fields. So all those index fields are called as a sidebar fields from the definition. And we'll see one more. Amazing. Setting default fields for your Salesforce sidebar. You can specify which fields appear in your sidebar for CRMs and live feed page. In your settings, all the fields present will be displayed in the sidebar. If you are looking to add additional fields, you can select another field of the Salesforce field. Again, we have different fields now. CRM and live up live. I don't never see this option. Let's try. Maybe they're not referring to Salesforce. It doesn't look like a Salesforce or Salesforce on the Salesforce sidebar. In your settings, okay, maybe this one. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, like I'll just check and of spending time here. I can see that. Yeah, here we have a standard documentation. So when there's a sidebar, uh, search for valid records are listed in a sidebar drop-down list. Unlike search in the application, wildcard is not appended to the end of a search string. Records. There's some drop-down actually where we can configure the sidebar, I guess. That's what my understanding was. But I can check and we can drive some examples also by that also we can identify that. Okay,
Okay.
let's write Apex. So let's example. Start. Start. Public wire. Like such method. So here, I was having some public string search key into something where I would like to give my key. That ways. So I'd like to write a query. So stuff, subject, such results equal to. So find Wipro in name fields returning account with name, comma, industry, comma, type, for example, comma, contact. I would like to return name, comma, phone. That's what my SOSL is. Now I'd like to see the results. So here are my fields. I'd like to print those fields. And if I like to get a list of accounts into a separate field, let's say I want to copy my only account fields, list of account ACC result equal to. So I mentioned the account as a first one, right? In the search results, I'll get search results dot get 0. That means which is from the first list from my search results. And then I have a contact result. It's going to be a next indexed field. So first one is a 0 and the next is a 1. So now I'd like to print the accounts and contacts. Account result. I'd like to print here. Then I have contact result. Contact. Okay, fine. That's fine. Let's say this one. Let me run this from a anonymous window. So object equal to object. So here in this object, I would like to call a search and execute. So now you can see in my search results, I'm getting these two results as a list of as objects. I can convert this list of as objects into an individual list by referring with the index. So on account, I'm getting the account results. In contact, I'm getting the contact results. Here I see only one record per this one. Let me look into the details and what all having a similar letters. I'll try to bring those up. Let's say I would like to see a Phenolex. Fin, I would like to add execute last. Now in contact, I have only one record, while as in account, I have a multiple records. Right? So 1, 2, 3. A total 3 records in a accounts. Let's say I want to build some page and I want to see the results in my page after doing a search. So let me write a visual force page. SOSL example of page. So have a controller equal to SOSL example. I'll be having a Apex form, and then I would like to add Apex page block. I would like to use the title equal to Salesforce Object Language, for example.
It's for search language, right? Bala? Salesforce.
Yeah, you're right. Mm, and that I come to Apex, the block section. Page block.
So in the previous example, we searched for a bird. So like that, we can do dynamically also, Bala, without hard coding the value.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to write. Yeah, we can do that also. We can do that.
And also we can search for different objects, right? Like for custom objects also we can search.
Yeah, we can. Search here. Page block section item. Text input. Input text. Value equal to. I'm going to use the search key. I have the search key. And then the page block, I would like to add some buttons. Page block buttons. Command button. Action equal to such. So I have command button, search, and then we're going to add a result sections. In the each page block section, I'm going to add the names. Account, results, contact, results. So let's turn into your example, adding a custom object as well. Let's say project results. And now which one again I would like to add a page block, page block, page block table. So in page block table, we have items, right? Items or value equal to get. So we need to use would like to use for a project as well. Project result. Count result. Here also I would say instead of such key. Here instead of single quotes, I'm going to use this such key. Account result. This column. Value or field name. Yeah, value on it. Here I have to give a var equal to ACC, for example. ACC dot name. Name, industry, and type. Similarly, we're going to have for contacts also. Contact result. Contact result, I would set as a con. So con first name. From. So I not add my query for
So Bala, here we don't need to give it like public for contact and
oh yeah, we
list.
need to, yeah, we need to give. You're right. Then only it will be visible in the Visual Force page. Right. Okay, so it is ready, and I need to add some project also, but we'll see for now first. We have some key. So let's say if I go some fin, do a search. So have account names and industry. And here also in contact I have the fields. So if I give a pro, I have the results. Yeah.
So here by default the collapsible will be true, Bala, for
Yeah.
okay.
If you want, we can make it disabled, or we can alter that one. No, let me add for a project as well.
So like this we can search for maximum of 20 objects. Yeah.
No, no. We can run. So this is treated as a single query only. Similarly,
Okay.
we can query, but we can do a 20 queries. So not this 20 is not for a objects that we can add in a, not that one. How many SLs that we can mm, execute per transaction. Let's say if I write one more such query, that will become a second one. So this is the first one only.
Okay.
What other fields I have? Fitting. We have status. State we have. Stage. Okay, stage we have. If I do a search with project, okay, not add in the Visual Force page yet. Project name. Stage. Project city. Search with the project and do a search. I don't have any matching in account and contacts, but in projects I having a results. So so you can have a SOSL also supported for a standard and a custom objects. We can write. You can display on the VF page. So any further questions you have? So we have different examples, right? Mm. Excuse me. Let's say Let's say we give a .com. If it was such that. So I have a contact came in, I have projects in, but I don't have anything on account on phone fields. I like to look for a phone fields and search phone. Don't have any phone numbers. Let's say I have something for this one. No, I just look at the RAM records, what I have in my phone. Do I have any phone number? Yeah, I have some numbers, but why it is not returning? I have three. Mm. looking for exact match over here. I'm trying to give like something called star. If I give a same thing in search all, okay, I was getting something. The email I have and what about the ones? So then what about a sidebar fields? Sidebar is having a name from account, but in contact it's not .com from sidebar fields. Yes, email also included. If I do energy and do a sidebar fields, it's not doing. If it is all fields, on energy, no. Energy, no. .com. So in the industry is a quick list, and even though it's a other field, if I do in search or also, they are not supported. So the search is supported only on some fields. I think the quick lists are not included in that part. I'll give you the list. Actually, when it do all fields, so what are all the fields supported? I will share those list in which fields it will support a search. Okay, and this two I will share. What are the sidebar fields and when saying all fields, what are all fields that will be included as part of a search?
Okay.
Okay. On top of it, we have some other specific objects. Like if you want to look for division, categories, snippets, network, price book ID, and metadata, it should all come from related to configuration stuff. Only it is specific to the those areas. Only if you want to include, it will not work along with this syntax, and just we need to um, include a specific like metadata or price book ID, any of this. So we have to mention with, then only they're supported. And then the limit we always seen, like we can mention the limit, like if you having more number of results and if you want to limit to a specific number, then we can give the limit. And now if you want to make it more dynamic, like so QL query, we can also have a dynamic query as well. Dynamic SOSL. So here what we'll do is we'll be having all the string in a, so all the query into a string. And the query into a string we can have, and instead of directly executing it, we'll be having a search keyword, search dot find, and we'll give the search query, and then it will execute. So here I can make it dynamic, like which are all the objects I want to include, what are all the fields I can make it dynamic, and based on the settings only I can allow to give that one. Dynamic. So such dot a query is what how to execute a dynamic query. So exactly same will be press SQL how we are storing the query into string and then running. Similar way here also we can do. And let's add a button over here. Fin or a .com. And here also we have some while characters. The while characters in this SOSL are a star and mm, one more character for single one. What are those? First I will write a note over here. While characters in SOSL is star for the single one. There is one character I forgot that one. Okay, only star is there. Question mark. Right. Question mark is a second while character. And question mark star is used for multiple characters. And question mark is used for exactly single character. That's what wild. So here what we'll do was we have a search key, right? Um, in search query, we'll add a star plus query plus star. This is how I use so that the while characters will be add before and after, and then we can add. So if you have some character, single character only, then we'll use a question mark. And if you have multiple, either zero or some characters, then we can use a star mark. Sorry. Sorry. So those are the while characters that we use in a search query. Just I kept some examples over here. SOSL. Yeah, we'll see the schema and we'll wrap up for today. And is it fine for you, Javed?
Yeah, sure, Bala.
Okay. And no, yeah, that's all for SOSL. And jumping onto a dynamic apex. So the dynamic apex or a schema apex, what actually it is. So we have some standard classes in apex which will help us extracting the metadata. So usually in apex, what we will used to do, we used to query on any of the standard or custom objects, and we'll write a query, and based on the results we do some actions like DMLs, or we'll do some conditional things, and we have some logics on that. Let's say in some of the scenarios, we want to know what are all the objects in Salesforce, and in each object, if we want to look for some fields, what are the fields are, and in each field, you want to look for a specification like what is a table, and can you hear me? What is the table, and what is
Yes, Bala.
the label, and what's the value of it, and what are all the configurations that we did on as objects, or any of the metadata that we have in configured in Salesforce. If you want to read that metadata in an Apex, the code used to do that is called a dynamic Apex or a schema Apex. That's what we'll call. So the the first class or a namespace that is used to access is a schema. So there are some methods that are used like a schema dot get global describe. So this is a method which will return all list of S objects that are present in a Salesforce. And here the result will be it can be all objects schema. You can say it could be something called string comma schema dot mm, subject result as object describe result as object describe result. Sorry. And this is how it will be. And there are like multiple ways of accessing it. So either if you want to information about a specific object, you can directly do like in SE in schema, you are looking for a specific object, like account object, you are looking for schema dot account dot get describe. We can use this method to get description about a single record, and inside the account you are looking for some field account dot industry dot get describe, like this. So you can describe at each level, and after describing you are trying to look for some values. Let's say industry. So industry is some pick list data type field, right? So in that pick list, you want to look for what are the pick list options you're having, or like let's say in that field, what are the access level you're having? Like you are editable, you are able to edit the field, or like if you are able to read the field, and what are all the pick list options you're having, and in each pick list options, what is the label you have, what is the value you're having. You can do all this describe functions, and you'll get the result of it. So let's see some standard documentation over there, and we'll do some options over there. So first thing was get global describe, which will give you the all as object names and tokens or standard and custom objects. And then if you want to describe each object under, so describe as objects. So what it does is describing metadata like field list and object properties. So each object, if you want to do, let's here instead of this one get describe, we will use a describe as object. So here we will say um, describe as object is used. So what it will do, it will so it will describe the S object, and it will give us information like what about the properties, like are we allowing a search on that object, or the reports are allowed on that object, is sharing is allowed on that object or not, all properties of the S object, and all information about a fields also it will having. And on top of field, you would like to describe all the field related information, whether it's a standard field, custom field, or a label, or based on a field type. Again, the properties will change. We'll get all the description. Let's say if you're describing on a tabs, so you'll get all standard and custom tabs, and in each tab, sorry, for a currently running user, what is the access level, whether it's default or turn on, turn off, or default hidden. We can see all these details on a describe tabs. Let's say I was looking on a specific object result, describe as object result. Then I will get the field information, field sets, and get associated entry types and the child relationships. And if all this information, what you're seeing, we can get a plural name, label, local name. So get name will give you the API name of it. And if it's having any of the record types, and record types by developer names and IDs, and whether it's the object is accessible by or not, and we have a creatable access or not. So accessible means a read permission, whether we have a read permission or not. Creatable permission is whether we have a create permission or not. Is custom will tell you whether it's a standard object or custom object. If is custom is true, that means a custom object. If it's a false, then it's a standard object. So all custom settings are also treated as objects only, right? So whether if it's a custom, if it's a custom setting, then it will tell. If it's a custom setting, then it will return true. If it's normal object, then it will return a false. And whether you have a delete permission on it or not. And we can have a chatter feed enabled on that object or not. All this we can see whether we can queryable, searchable, and deletable and updatable. All this the permissions also we can check using the schema, and what are all the features that we configured also we can check using that schema functions. Let's write some methods over there, and we will see. I will give some notes before that. Schema Apex will help us reading the metadata from Apex. And it will tell us access or permission of the logged in user, like create, edit, delete, permissions on object, and read or edit permissions to fields. So we can read based on the logged in user permissions, and we can read the metadata as well. And then what else we do? Mm, there are like so many, so we cannot explain all of them here, but I'm giving just some examples. But you need to know that whatever the configuration items we have, everything that we can read from Apex, but we'll be knowing the right method to extract it. That's all. So let's write some examples. Schema Apex example 1. Public void S object methods. So here, schema dot get global describe, schema dot get global describe dot. So the return type of it is a string comma schema dot subject describe 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 subject result. So we can have why we have this one. We have this one like this. Objects. So now if I have this data type as object result as a account object result equal to like this is one way. So here we having all the list of S object. If I'm specific about a S object, then at sorry, describe as object. It will be describe describe as object. Legal map to assignment. Okay, it has to be a map and string comma this one. All as objects map. Okay. Map to map. Get global describers. Subject result areas. Okay, this is a subject type. That's it. Subject type. Method does not exist. Describe a subject. Let's see this one. So let's say I want to read the account here. We'll say account dot that account. We'll say prescribe a subject result. Describe a subject result, and we can do a get describe. So we have okay, so we have to declare the variable. So account describe. So once we have an account describe, so in account describe, what we'll get was all this we see like fields, get name, or like veritable, everything we can see on that one. Account name here. I would say dot get name, and then like to see account if fields. Let's say fields. Use the fields over here, and what else we have, like let's is accessible. So what's a read permission. Information. So dot. So here you can see is custom setting or is creatable. Information also we can check. So when we having the fields and you want to okay, signature. Oh, saying now it's 40 minutes. Dot. Fields. Fields. Let's say I in the each field I want to um, Qualifier. Describe as object result. Then it would be a map of string comma schema dot field describe field result. Get field describe or something option. Schema type fields, subject type fields. So this is also some other example. Suppose if you want to read about some field, we can use this method also to describe about a single field. So account on fields and name. Schema field, I guess maybe. Extract pick list. Schema Apex. Okay. Fields dot get map. This is what the syntax is. So we can get a map of fields from that one. And again, we can describe each fields as well. We'll again describe each fields, and then we can get a pick list values also we can do describe. So in short, let's say if you would if so this is how we can read a pick list values if like if you want pick list values if you want to read like here we hard coded even we can do it dynamically also like if you have a visual force page and if you want to read each values also we can do. First I will explain how it will work. Schema dot get global describe what it does was it will return all the s objects in the Salesforce, return all s objects from a Salesforce this one. And let's say if you want to describe any of the specific object, let's say here I was describing a all data about a account object. Here just I have kept some outputs of like what is the name, how to where it's accessible for me or not, creatable for me or not. Here I would like to extract all fields information of the account object here, and I would like to extract all information about a industry field in the account. So I think I will continue from this